Reuse, reduce, recycle. When you throw something away, do you think about where it'll end up? Maybe you're a little more earth-friendly, and you even recycle when you can. But do you fully understand the impact that recycling actually makes? According to National Geographic, in 2010, there was 8 million tons of plastic, trash that were added to the ocean globally. That's 16 billion pounds. Not only that, but plastic is actually becoming a part of the water. Plastic particles are being found in the deep sea and in the Arctic ice. And it is also disrupting marine wildlife. Now, as bad as these numbers sound, this is actually only a fraction of the waste that is being produced globally, much of which is being put into overloaded waste fills. Now, this is an issue. If you've ever been to an event or a party, you've seen how much waste can be produced in a short amount of time. Some will even include several means of separation, like recyclable versus waste, plastic versus paper. Now, I have worked for years at these athletic events, and it has opened my eyes to the dysfunction of the recycling program. First, I witnessed many people put every type of thing into every type of container. That means plastic and paper, it means paper in the waste, it means everything. When this happens, everything just gets thrown into the waste fill. Second, even when things are separated correctly, they all still often end up in just a big garbage dump, no separation. Now, while there is a need to reduce current resources wasted through recycling, the recycling program is a poor and misunderstood solution that often puts one at peace of mind when one should not be. I'd put forth that an effort to reduce and reuse goods would be much more valuable to the earth conservation than a focus on recycling. There are many reasons why we should switch focus to reusing and reducing. The first is that the recycling program is a poorly developed program. The recycling programs are inconsistent nationwide and confusing. There are problems with sorting, demand is often not met, and recycling itself often produces its own eco-footprint, diminishing its actual usefulness. The second reason to switch focus is that reusing and reducing is more positively impactful on the environment and therefore more positive for you. Using long-term usable items such as glass or stainless water bottles and containers, bringing your own grocery bags to stores, and as well as avoiding consumer goods that use an excessive amount of waste, all bring your eco-footprint down. Stop as much waste from being produced, and this also changes the economy as you vote with your dollar towards eco-friendly solutions. It's important to fully understand the weaknesses of the recycling program. The weaknesses of the recycling program are as follows. An inconsistency in recycling. Recycling is just not consistent. On the consumer end, there are many rules to follow already. They include what can be recycled, paper versus plastic versus aluminum, etc. They also include, or it can even be broken down further, allowing only certain types of plastics and not others. Rules often include how to separate and when to collect. Worst off, these rules not only change and vary greatly from state to state, but they can change from city to city or county to county. This leads to a vast amount of confusion. Now, this confusing structure leads many to be confused about what can actually be recycled. Sorting becomes a disaster, and recycling ends up in landfill. The operations of recycling vary greatly from city to city. Now, there are actually good programs that impact waste. Several cities in Washington and Oregon instituted several amazing programs, but these programs are few and far between. Demand cannot simply be met. Despite huge pushes in recycling, it barely makes a dent in the demand for these raw materials. The one notable exception to basically all of recycling is aluminum, which boasts favorable results for both recycling and demand. Recycling still creates an eco-footprint. Now, while proving to be more efficient than producing completely new material, recycling still creates an eco-footprint. For example, plastic uses 70% less energy, only uses 70% less energy than to create new plastic, and paper uses only 40% less energy to create new paper. The notable exception again is aluminum, which uses only 95% energy to recycle versus making new aluminum. Now, these numbers only account for material that actually makes it to the recycling program and not all the material that ends up in the landfill. Now, while doing something is better than nothing, some would say about recycling, Many use recycling as a psychological crutch, and they perceive themselves in a much less wasteful society. This keeps attention away from the increasing problem that is our waste management. Simply put, it's like cleaning one room in a large house and then calling it good, except dirt keeps piling up on the other rooms and we're just not noticing or doing anything about it. Now, all of the aforementioned portrays an accurate portrayal of the flaws the recycling program contains. While recycling is better than nothing, reducing recycling is what we need to do and focus and spend money on. This is why a focus on reducing and reusing is better for the environment and consequently you. First, reusing reduces the waste. The more reuse something has, the better impact it has on the level of waste being produced. For example, using a plastic bottle more than once saves another plastic bottle from being thrown away. Using glass bottles saves even more, as they can be reused forever until it breaks. According to Ban the Bottle, Americans used over 50 billion plastic bottles last year and recycled only 23% of that. In ReuseIt.com, it shares that worldwide, 1 trillion plastic bags are used every year, and plastic bags are notorious for not being able to be recycled. There are easy ways to reuse and reduce. There is much more waste than this, but this is a good place to start, for it's easy to fix and it affects all of us. Other ways include non-packaged goods, buying non-packaged goods, using glass containers for a lot of things, buying higher quality clothes, and donating old ones. Now, reducing waste reduces waste. If you need to stop using products with large amounts of packaging that all end up in the waste. We need to buy fresher foods that don't use packaging. We need to use products longer instead of buying new ones constantly, or find homes for things you are done with. For example, instead of upgrading a TV, use it for longer, or consider finding it at home. Donation services vary and are often great, but often items are mistreated and sometimes end up broken and end up in the landfill anyway, despite our best efforts. And then, do we really need that $7 dress or that $5 shirt? These cheap clothings often end up in the waste after just a few uses. We need to buy clothes that are higher quality that can be reused more often. Now, the last point and the third point of why reusing and reducing is better is that it will change the economy. As we vote with the dollar and we purchase goods, we tell the companies what we want in the stores. When we buy cheap prepackaged goods, we are telling them to produce more cheap prepackaged goods. When we buy fresh foods and products with less waste attached, they switch to provide these products in demand. As we vote with the dollar, better and cheaper ways are developed to provide cleaner products with less waste. While recycling portrays a great way to reduce our environmental impact, it's not a perfect solution and is flawed in several ways. Reducing and reusing is the best way to help with Earth conservation. Recycling should not be abandoned, and one should find out how best to recycle where they live. But the only way to significantly impact how much waste we are producing is to reduce and reuse. We need to raise more awareness so that as a society we are helping this Earth together. We don't have to change everything at once, but by small things such as switching to reusable water bottles and grocery bags, we can make changes towards minimal waste. Thank you.